Since they turn the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Pun Kelly get caught in the lake. Facts and logic with a twist of jest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor blows the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows, dissect the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity where they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steam Fun Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Pun Show. And you will see, I was thinking about this just a couple of minutes ago. I'm wearing my Mickey Mouse shirt today. See? It got me thinking about this Mickey Mouse joke I thought I would tell you guys. One day, the Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse were commuting to work together, getting ready to film a new film. And then they got in a car accident. Donald was driving and they hit another car. Mickey didn't have his seatbelt on. He went through the windshield. And he wasn't, I mean, for the most part, he was okay, but his ears were really, really damaged. And, you know, if you know Mickey Mouse, if you know anything about him, like his ears are like really important. And so they took him to the emergency room. They rushed him into surgery. The doctors were all getting prepped and everything like that. They're all, sharpening their scalpels and washing their hands and everything. And all of a sudden, the door bursts open, and Minnie Mouse comes in the room, and she screams, "What kind of Mickey Mouse operation is this?" I'm getting a very vigorous head shake from Kitty. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like the joke. And a finger wab. I should have put you on for that one. Kelly, all right, okay. Afternoon, kitties. Donald Trump is a professional liar, so he probably is lying again. There is a very, very significant chance. In fact, the reason I asked this question in the show title for today is that there is so this morning I woke up and there was the stock market had surged on reports that there was peace talks with Iran. Donald Trump said that he was going to pause any escalations and bombings of their energy facilities because they had reached some sort of agreement and blah, blah, blah. Then Iran said, we haven't heard anything. We haven't talked at all. We haven't talked directly. We haven't talked indirectly. We haven't had any conversations. We haven't agreed to anything at all. And so this is not like one of those things where, you know, there's two sides to it, where one side is saying one thing and the other side is saying another. The thing that these two people are saying, the two sides are saying here, are mutually exclusive. Either there are talks or there are no talks. And Iran was not, they were unequivalent, unambiguous. They didn't just say, we haven't talked, we haven't had direct talks. They said, we haven't had direct talks or indirect talks. There might have been some wiggle room for indirect talks where, okay, they're not really talking, but there's back channels and blah, blah, blah. Then Donald Trump gets on and says, he's in this press conference and he says something about, well, we can't tell you who it is because if we tell you who we've been talking to, then it's going to get them killed. I imagine it's going to get them killed by their side. So if their side is going to kill the person they've been talking to, how is the person they've been talking to going to be able to carry water for the negotiations they've allegedly been having? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if they're going to kill him for talking to them, do you think they're not going to kill him for making an agreement with him? So anyway, that's I mean, like, that's a serious question. How can this mystery person they've been talking to make an agreement if he doesn't even have enough authority to talk to them without getting killed? Oh, the Mickey Mouse shirt? I can get in trouble for that? That would be interesting. I will make a list of matters I trust Donald Trump. Okay, so I'm done. That's actually being very generous. I'm sorry. How do you know this stuff? You're not Iranian and Iran. You are not part of their government. Nobody. I'm not saying anything one way or the other. I am saying that Iran has denied it. I know that because they have denied it. There's reports that they've denied it. I don't, like, you can believe Trump or you can believe Iran, but they are saying two different things. I think that when we've got a president that lies so often about so many things, that when Iran, of all countries, is telling us something different than him, and Iran is more believable, that means we have a serious credibility problem as a nation. Oh, okay. So Friendzones is the guy that said that he trusts Donald Trump with nothing because he's essentially a double agent. And when they come to an agreement, there will likely be a term in there that he's not to be harmed. Oh, so you're saying the guy is a double agent. Okay, but how are they going to come to an agreement? You're kind of like, when they come to an agreement, what does that have to do with anything? How are they going to come to an agreement where he's not harmed and they're going to honor the agreement? Like, why would they honor that agreement? If he's not in power, he's not going to be able to have an agreement with anything. Do you see what I'm saying? The people that are in power are the ones that actually need to be talked to. You might want to ask yourself, what party actually hates men? Who has started useless foreign wars to use men as fodder? I don't know what Dante said. I don't see anything. I would rather trust Putin about his special military operation than Donald Trump. Trump is a pathological liar. He is. Well, you know, do you believe that they've had talks or not? I tend to doubt most of what Iran says, but if Donald Trump said the sky was blue, I would run outside to see what the hell happened to the sky. No, you're choosing to believe a 40-year plus enemy rather than the intelligence collective. What are you talking about? This has nothing to do with any intelligence anybody's collected. By the way, the intelligence collected shows that Iran was never an imminent threat. So that's not even what we're talking about here. We're talking about, have they had peace talks, or is Donald Trump lying about that? I'm for Trump. I'm for America. If Trump did something good for America, I'd happily be cheering for him. But everything he's doing is destroying it. Trump learned all his BS from McCarthyism lead attorney Roy Cohn. Demonize your opponents, always do wrong, always deny wrongdoing. So what the president has enlightened. I don't know what this, means. I don't think any other president, George Bush lied to us to get us into a war. Trump is bad. Both ops are bad. Kim does that justify Trump lying? Yeah, it's like this is They always want to do the, oh, well, both sides, when they know they're wrong, then they go with both sides do it. Like, it's always both sides do it. As soon as they're wrong about something, both sides do it. That's how you know when you won the argument, when they start going from denial to both sides do it. Trump was told by Tulsi Gabbard that Iran was no threat. And I mean, there's, all right. Let me say this again, because I've said it before. First of all, it's not just U.S. intelligence that we need to rely on. But secondly, U.S. intelligence has been consistent. Iran was not a threat. They even had that one guy, Joe Kent. The guy that was the expert on this resigned, saying that it was a lie, that Iran was a threat. And this guy was a diehard MAGA too. So yeah. But it's not just that. There's also other intelligence agencies that don't belong to us that have said he's not a threat. Iran was not a threat. Here is the entire case for Iran being a threat. This is what their case was. Before we bombed them in, what was it, in the fall, I forget what month. But before we bombed them, there was a right-wing think tank that had some unrealistic math probabilities that said if Iran were to run all of its uranium enrichment, all of its 60% uranium at 100% capacity for an entire week, then they could theoretically develop enough or enrich the uranium enough to get up to 90%, which is what you need for a nuclear weapon. Okay, they still wouldn't have had the means to deliver that. But that's not even really, you don't even need to go into that. It's like you're talking about a blank without a gun. But can you get enough gunpowder into that blank to make it a lethal bullet? Well, to run everything for a week at maximum capacity is basically against the laws of physics, because as you run it at maximum capacity, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and so eventually it's going to overheat, it's going to break down. The friction is going to actually cause the equipment to break down. So even that assessment was just based on X times Y equals Z. It didn't consider, like there wasn't any physicists that were saying, but if you do that, then this will happen. All right. So number one, the reporting on what they could generate was wrong. Number two, they weren't trying to generate. They weren't trying to do that. And number three, and this is the most damning part of all, that was before we obliterated, and I'm quoting Trump here, that was before we obliterated their facilities. So how do we obliterate their facilities and then they can still continue to use it for a week straight without batting an eye, without losing anything, when they couldn't even do that before? All right. So there is no credibility. There is absolutely zero credibility to the argument that Iran was an imminent threat, that they were a week away from nuclear weapons. They weren't. They were at best years away from nuclear weapons, and they've been years away for nuclear weapons for 40 some odd years. And yes, Iran has sponsored terrorist attacks over the last 47 years, but they were not an imminent threat. And if being a terrorist nation was sufficient to declare war, Make that case to the American people. Make that case to Congress. Make that case to the UN. If it's they're bad and we just want to take out the bad guys, make that case. The fact that they weren't an imminent threat makes the entire war illegal. They weren't a threat. That is the only reason, the only way that Donald Trump could legally act the way he did. And that matters. Okay. Dante, you might. Also, by the way, Donald Trump has kind of lied a lot just since this war started. It's not that Trump is, his word is his bond or something. The man's a chronic liar. Okay, wait. So scroll back up too far. I lost my place in the comments. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. That was disgusting. I'll go through that. Go to that. Many NATO nations no longer share intelligence with the USA because the intelligence they were sharing was getting people murdered on the high seas. We've kind of, gotten past that. But remember, we were just murdering citizens on the high seas not too long ago. Russia cozying up on. So what happened is that our allies stopped saying, look, we can't share this information with you if you're just going to murder people with it. Russia, yeah, the only one that has really benefited from this war so far is Russia. And that's the people, yeah. Who is? What is he about? Oh, somebody asked about. I'm sorry, was I using 2-syllable words? You weren't able to keep up? And we and the rest of the world cannot allow that. Can't allow what, Gary? Most people in the USA can't tell you what set Iran off in the first place. It starts with Winston Churchill. That before we started meddling with Iran, they were a democracy. I disagree, but that's beside the point. I don't know. You disagree with what? This is what is called diarrhea of the mouth. Okay. Have you seen a doctor about it? I mean, I don't know why you need to air out your personal laundry here. How's everybody doing today? Good. How are you doing, Bus? Bus. I always think of you as Bus because of the bus. Oh, that's Breaking Bad trailer thing, isn't it? I can't read what you have in your little thing there. No, I'm not just mad that my guy didn't start this. How long does it take to enrich uranium from scratch to weapons grade? And Libya wasn't a threat. Okay, you're conflating two entirely different things here. But first, let me say, as I have said on this show many, many times, Obama was wrong to do what he did in Libya. Okay. Secondly, enrich uranium from scratch to weapons grade. Where did this uranium come from? And I mean, you're acting like that's some sort of spike on the question. How long does it take to enrich uranium from scratch? How much uranium does it take to make a weapon? And how long does it take to do it from scratch? But yeah, I have criticized Obama for Libya too. Although with Libya, there was a United Nations were saying that Gaddafi was a threat to his citizens and he was about to kill a bunch of citizens. And that is an actual threat that they were really responding against. Now, there is legitimate question about whether that threat was actually serious. but there was a real and actual threat that Obama was fighting, and it was also supported by the UN. We've had a Republican POTUS plus a Republican Senate plus a Republican House for over a year. This is good as things will ever get for conservatives. Dems are 85% favorites to win the House on Polymarket. Well, because this is what happens when you let Republicans run things. You've got an economy that's falling apart. You've got international diplomacy falling apart. You've got Putin is floating like the pile of crap he is. The only one that's benefited from Trump's presidency are the Epstein class and Putin. You just, still not mad my guy didn't start it. Long-term outlook. And just out of curiosity, were you criticizing Biden for not going to war with Iran? Because I'm pretty sure I remember that this is what was going to happen if Kamala Harris got elected. I'm pretty sure you were saying that if we didn't win, if Kamala Harris won, we would be like attacking Iran and we'd be going to war with Iran. Donald Trump has said the same thing about Kamala Harris. He said the same thing about Barack Obama. He said the same thing about Joe Biden. Everybody else was going to get us into war with Iran, and that was a bad thing. But the moment Trump does it, actually does it, then it's a bad thing. Or then it's a good thing. It's fine when it's just an accusation against other people, but when Trump actually does it, then whatever. Some forecasts indicate that oil prices could remain above $100 per barrel into 2027. That's another thing, is it's not like once this ends, like once the war ends, it's not like oil prices will go back down to normal the next day. People have, like, the countries have stopped drilling because they can't get through the Strait of Hormuz. And they're not going to, they're still, even once things are opened up and normal again, it's going to take a while to get the oil out. So it's definitely, you can bank paying $4 a gallon for the next 6 months at least. Iran wasn't a threat. He decided to do something that usually requires congressional approval. Despite being commander-in-chief, he had no idea that Iran was an imminent threat to the U.S. at all. Right. So I want to clarify something on this, because it seems like a lot of people really have no idea what they're talking about, but they still talk anyway. Okay. The Constitution gives Congress the authority to declare war, and it makes the president the commander-in-chief. One easy way to think of this is the Constitution says that Congress decides when we use our armed forces, and the president decides how we use our armed forces. Now, after World War II, which, by the way, was the last time Congress declared war, but it is not the last time we've been at war. We've had wars. For a while, we had first Korea, then we had Vietnam, where we had these kind of police actions or whatever, these things that were, war for all intents and purposes, but just weren't called war because Congress never declared war. All right, so here's the deal, is you do need to have the president be able to determine, like, if there is an imminent threat, like an actual imminent threat, something is going to happen in the next 24 hours if we don't act. He needs to be able to use the military on a immediate basis, right, to defend American lives and American soil and whatever. But that's not what happened with Korea. That's not what happened with Vietnam. So they passed a war powers resolution in, I think, 72 or 73. The war powers resolution gets constantly misconstrued and misrepresented. It does not give the president, up to 90 days or whatever to decide, to get congressional approval for a war. That's not how it works. That's not how it's supposed to work. It says, if you ever actually read the law, and I wish people would actually read laws instead of just talking about them, the actual law says that if the president has time to notify Congress, he should do that first. He should do that first. He should get congressional approval, if it's possible, to get it before he has to act. That's really important, because you can't just act because Congress wouldn't approve it. He should have gotten congressional approval. If Iran wasn't an imminent threat, the Constitution says he needs to get congressional approval and have Congress declare war. Then you can go out and do it. All this talk about, oh, well, we were at war for 47 years. We weren't at war. All that hyperbolic, nonsensical, rambling, stupid, MAGA, just blithering idiot stuff, just set it all aside. He could have gone to war if he had gotten Congress to approve war. All he had to do was get Congress to declare war. The only thing you need to ask is, could he have done this without going to war first? If Iran really had a nuclear weapon aimed at the United States, then I would be like, go for it, stop them. But Iran did not. Iran did not have a nuclear weapon pointed at anybody, because Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. So what he's doing is illegal. It's illegal according to the Constitution. It's illegal according to the War Powers Resolution. He could have talked to Congress before he went to war. Now we're stuck paying $5 an hour a gallon for gasoline until the cows come home. Kelly, remember, he has cut. Oh yeah, that's true. So here's what you do, guys. Go to like Costco or something, refill your prescription, and then use your credit receipt to pay for your gas. And that way you get everything covered at the same time. You get your free prescriptions that you actually get paid for. If you can make it prescription marijuana, then that's even better, because then you can make money and get free gas off of getting high. The U.S. has never effectively dealt with its own domestic terrorists. How can they deal with terrorists abroad, especially without international help? No explaining this to MAGA. And they act like January 6th was not a terrorist attack. It absolutely was. It was the most devastating terrorist attack in the history of our country. And I include that. I include 9/11 in that. 9/11 might have done more damage monetarily, and there might have been more people killed, but it wasn't led by the President of the United States. It wasn't backed by 147 congressmen and senators. It was a terrorist attack. And everybody that voted, that the election was a fraud or whatever, every one of them is a terrorist along with it. Donald Trump is a terrorist. Ted Cruz is a terrorist, and so is his beard. I don't know about God bless Iran. Iran has done some pretty crappy things. It doesn't really have to be one or the other. Iran still kills its own citizens and stuff. It just doesn't, if you want to make that a reason for war, then you should go to Congress and make the case. Putin screwed up in Ukraine and gave room for America to make some plays. I don't speak emoji. I'm sorry. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. I don't know what all that means. Libya was intervened on because of a civil war. and at the pushing of the Europeans. Yes, there was that. I think that's a very significant difference. Is Obama didn't act unilaterally. He just didn't get the empowerment of the Republicans in Congress. Which, by the way, if he hadn't acted, they would have criticized him for that too. The uranium did not come from Obama. That's just a lie. Winston Churchill, Cecil Rhodes, and William Darcy screwed Iran 110 years ago with a BS oil deal, which Iran received 20,000 pounds and a small percentage of the net profit. Interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. I didn't know about that. I know that we helped England commit a coup that overthrew the democracy. What's a lie? I'm sorry, I don't know what was said when you said that's a lie. So I don't know what's a lie. Ukraine was a bellwether for other nuclear armed allies not to give up the bombs. For an armed nation, it was a wake-up call that America will. Trump has ruined American economy across the globe. Not protect you. Yeah, that's true. Especially under Trump. True story. Of course, I guess, yeah, it was Biden. Biden tried. Republicans hate people without private jets. Yeah. I'm benefiting and I'm in the lowest tax bracket. You're benefiting what? I have no idea what you think you're benefiting, but I promise you you're paying higher prices and getting less in federal benefits. So Europe needs our protection. Who said anything about Europe needing our protection? Russian collusion. I don't know what that means. Pretty sure was one of the strongest points during the campaign about Iran, how Kamala Harris was going to start a war with Japan or with Iran. Kamala's husband is dual citizen. What a weird thing to say. Obama had a nuke agreement with Iran that was successful. Trump threw it away, then attacked Iran for trying to make nukes. Trump created the problem on purpose. And remember, he had the plans to invade Iran drawn up during his first term. We know that because those are the ones he waved in front of the novelist's face, trying to show off how awesome he was, and stole them so that he could then illegally show them to somebody else. These people are bleeping hypocrites and crazy. Europe can't. I don't know what you're talking about there. You're just saying a bunch of weird stuff. No, I'm not a Mossad agent. Putin took advantage of 2 Democrats in office. Oh, goodness gracious. What a silly thing to say. Tony Blair, the UK and the French president, said they wanted to build up the European defense industry and basically have a Europe capable of doing what America. Trophy for acing the yor. Yeah, the MAGAs that get the yor right are few and far between. So, yeah, credit to you for having gotten it right, and thanks for picking that up, Winter. I should have given him his kudos. It's already been done. What's already been done? There's nothing we can do about it. What has already been done? Does the U.S. Secretary of State threaten to leave NATO? The Europeans tried to do this. Tried to do what? This whole idea that Europe, for no reason whatsoever, just to become dependent on America, and decided to freeload its security. It's so stupid. It's like, how dare other countries govern themselves in their own best interest? Donald Trump is a bad loser. He is scared of Iran. Poor Trump. Go tell. It is complete bullshit. Also, you guys have done more for China strategically under this Trump. Yes, China's been actually that's a fair point. China has also benefited. Actually, I think all of America's enemies have benefited by Trump. And all of our allies have been harmed by Trump. His name, congrats. You got back an extra grand on taxes. How's the energy bill? How did you get an extra grand back on taxes if you're in the bottom bracket? And if we recall, it was the United States that gave the United Nations Security Council seat to the communists. It was America that allowed China to open up the international system. Harry, you need punctuation. So don't go around saying everything is your fault when it's your fault. You're a sadist. The suffering others makes you feel better. If it's a MAGA trait, enjoy your box macaroni and cheese product. Even Trump was wrong. We have to deal with it now, and that's all there is to that. Oh, hang on. Just got to text me. Okay. My wife is going to the grocery store, and I need her to pick up something for me. Europe was warring with itself for hundreds of years. They couldn't get along. There's been a recession under every single Republican president in my lifetime, and a recovery under every Democratic president. It's like the basics of history are lost on MAGA. U.S. has no, but other countries determine how they're, like somehow, like Obama being president, like the only reason that Putin invaded Ukraine is because Obama was president. When did the USA switch from Germany? Can't ever to Germany needs to hit 5%. That's a good question. I think Japan's military still limited? Hey, can I talk to you about Jesus? No, not really. I mean, I'm a Christian. I spent 15 years of my life as a Christian minister, but this is not the channel for it. We have already been here many times. This too shall pass. Yeah, well, things can get worse before they get better. Well, now what? That's a good question, Gary. Do we just shrug our shoulders and say, oh, well, billions of dollars wasted, 13 American military killed, thousands of civilians killed? Obama did what before? He doesn't need congressional approval until... No, that's nothing you said is even remotely accurate. It's not 6 months, it's 90 days, and that's only if he doesn't have chance to go and talk to Congress first, which he did. Goodness gracious. At least get your propaganda right. Your propaganda talking points aren't right. 6 months. We all win with Trump. No, we don't. What is the price of gas is like $4.90 or $3.95 a gallon? Is that winning with Trump? Yes, but he didn't threaten to invade Greenland and leave NATO and not come to Europe aid. And sanctioned the Europeans because they didn't go along with what everything. And then he tried to use Article 5 as like NATO should come to our aid in Iran. It's not an attack by one, it's an attack by all. It's an attack on one, is an attack on all. It's a defensive treaty. If another country attacked the United States, then Europe would come to our aid. And we know this because they did. With 9/11, they assisted us. We're talking about with the receipts. This dude is a fool, nothing more. Okay. Trump is a traitor. I agree with that. How are people getting prescriptions filled and getting fuel from receipts? It was a joke, Mustang. Donald Trump says that he's brought down prescription drugs 1,600%. So that would mean that they actually are paying you to take the drugs out. And so then the joke is that the money that you made off of buying those 1,600% off prescription drugs is now money that you can use to fill your gas tank. That was just a joke. MAGA has confirmation bias. What was it worth to have a president who spoke with intelligence like Obama? I wish we could do that again. I wish we had a president who could just speak coherent sentences. Trump screwed Ukraine. He wanted them to dig up dirt on the Bidens and withheld the military aid that was already promised to him. Yep, just completely. That one's been completely forgotten about. Yeah, I mean, it's not happening anywhere. It's just a joke because Donald Trump keeps saying the same stupid thing. I have an MS in engineering too. Much more educated than you plebs. What does that, hey, electrical engineering is no joke, but that has nothing whatsoever to do with what we're talking about. Trouble in the UK, Ireland, when that thing Blair and Brown, and now it's Stramer, new voters in boats, hotels free, food, phone money, and driving lessons, games free. This is like that's just, I don't even know what that's supposed to be saying. I have well, that's a good question, Gary. Do you have any? I mean, like, what would be nice is if Republicans would just stand up to him and say, hey, do something. But I mean, just because there's nothing I can do about it doesn't mean I can't talk about it. I would hope that you would maybe call your congressman and say, hey, we don't need a tyrant just deciding when we go to war. When Blair and Brown were in charge, immigration was controlled thanks to the Dublin system with the European Union, which now we have left because we are idiots. Did you know that Dublin is the fastest growing city in the world? Every day it's Dublin. And then he watched him come down a little bit. But and he didn't just watch them, he actually, opened up the Federal Reserve, which brought them down a bit. He didn't do anything to make gas prices go up. It's like I don't know about this specific war if it benefits China, but I know that China's been inking like new trade deals right and left thanks to Trump's tariffs. China just had a huge trade deal with him. I think China is actually one of the countries that Iran is letting the ships go for. So I don't know that their oil supplies are being hurt. President Trump literally gave an order to the military to not interfere with oil shipments going to China. Just an interesting fact. Charlie Kirk was very anti us getting involved in the Iran before he died. Said Israel wants to get us in. Yeah, that's, I'm not into the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories, although there is a Charlie Kirk story we have to talk about in a little bit. You have been stoned too long. I wish that were the case. Then poof, gone like you wouldn't let Israel have nukes. I think it's extremely naive to think that either party is better than the other. I think it's extremely naive to think that that's not the case or that there's no difference. There is a very, very clear difference between the two parties, and one is definitely better than the other. I think it's naive to think that either party is perfect, but to think that there's no difference or that one is not a better is just wrong. I mean, it's not naive to be educated. Japan has a self-defense force only at this time. I know that there was like limits put on their military after World War II. And like, I remember like in the 90s hearing that was still there. I don't know if that's still the truth. You are a full space exploit. At least I know how punctuation works. Are you on the level like Trump 2 said things? Are you on the level like Trump 2 said that things? I don't know what that means. Trump lies. I'll just answer it. Whatever you mean, I don't know. But Trump lies. So anytime that he says something, I'm going to question it. He tells, it's not like just, everybody will say, well, everybody's been lied. But Donald Trump, everything he says is a lie. If he said the sky is blue, I would run outside to see what the hell happened to the sky. No, we have not been here before Teddy Roosevelt's time in office happened because people like Trump were backing a candidate that would lead to low-grade slavery. Biden he didn't empty the oil reserves. He opened them to try to keep the prices down, which is what Donald Trump has done. He wasn't mentally incapacitated. They didn't lie and more lies. Like, everything you just said is objectively wrong. My country literally was in Afghanistan from the first day to the last. Oh. Both parties have people in them who are the exact same. No, they don't. I remember a time when it was over $5 a gallon with Obama. Yes, it was over briefly. And it was because Russia invaded Ukraine, right? So that is not Biden's fault, but somehow it became Biden's fault. But when Trump invades Iran and the dollar in less than 2 weeks jumped in gas prices is directly tied to things that Trump did illegally, then you don't have a problem with it. And I don't think it's done going up either. Yeah, but why is it you're selectively choosing? It's okay when it's Trump, but when it just happens to go up under Biden, Biden is not the reason it went up. Trump is the reason it went up. That's what you need to look at. You can't even run a forklift. How about Trump doing so many things for your family not to take a dropping bomb? Okay, you can't even type a coherent sentence. My Ozempic went from 75 to 15. I don't address anything you haven't said anything to address other than just nonsense. I own a lot of Exxon stock, and I love it when the price of oil goes up. Now you're a fool if you think that Gavin Newsom is a good guy. I don't know what Gavin Newsom has to do with this. And that's a good thing. If Trump brought down drugs 100%, they would be free. People in the United States struggle with math. Wonder what the engineer would say. Gavin Newsom looks like a Bond villain. Okay. I just remember Trump always bad and Joe Biden always good. No. Joe Biden, I agree with some of what he did. I disagree with some of what he does. But Trump is always bad. And Joe Biden, I don't know why you can't evaluate Donald Trump just as Donald Trump. Like, why are you dragging? Why is the need so, visceral for you to drag Joe Biden into it? Who said, I'm not talking about Joe Biden. I'm talking about Donald Trump. Hunter Biden. They lost the argument when they start talking about Hunter Biden. Donald Trump said he brought drug prices down 1,600%, which means that you would be getting paid to take their drugs. Which is why I say, if it's going to be if you're going to do that, get a prescription for medical marijuana and just have the time of your life. Obama sent cash on. No, he did not. That's not true. I just look it up in a fact check. It's not true. That's not true. Because it's currently going on, Gary. What does just saying, oh, don't talk about it, what good does that do? I profit no matter what. Well, what do you prophesy then, friend? There are more mosques being built every day in Dublin than ever before. So? UK is toast. Are you kidding? I feel sorry for you. I finance both sides of the war. I win no matter what. Somehow knowing Ohm's law, election flow, and matrix algebra doesn't translate to politics unless you're a eugenics proponent like Dr. William Shockley, also a racist. We are Charlie Kirk, are we? Look. Israel did it. We carry the flame. I would rather live in UK than the US any day of the week. How much life insurance? That's a good question. So, his wife now is like some advisor to like the Air Force Academy or something like that, as though she has some kind of qualification to do that. She has literally no training at all in anything at all to do with anything to do with the armed forces. Her only credential is she was married to Charlie Kirk. And anyway, he's looking up right now, watching his wife become a DEI hire, and he is thinking, I must be in hell. What about all the fraud going on? What does that have to do with anything? The fraud was already prosecuted, Nick, by Biden. It was all taken care of by Biden. What about all the fraud going on in Texas? How come you're not mentioning that? UK is the new Pakistan. Okay. Man, that's like just some out and out racism right there. Trump was trolling the Japanese. I don't know if he was trolling or if he was actually seriously asking or what. I mean, that is such a why didn't you warn us before you bombed Pearl Harbor? America is, I'm the fifth stage of collapse and no one in the States is aware. Some people talk too much poop. Okay. I need to take a quick break here. We'll be back momentarily. Sorry about that. I'm back. Thank you for waiting if you did. If you didn't, I understand. Trump only reads off a script that was approved by multiple focus groups, just like Joe Biden did. Why does everybody keep talking about Joe Biden? Are people incapable of evaluating Donald Trump just based on Donald Trump? Like, Donald Trump lied to bring us into a war illegally. Okay. Teddy Roosevelt used slaves to traverse the Amazon River. I don't know what that's talking about. Biden was the sharpest president I have ever seen, and he did excellent in the last debate, and anything otherwise was fake news. I don't know why are you so obsessed with talking about Joe Biden? Hey, I voted for Trump, and I don't agree with full scale with war with Iran. You can't predict the outcome of wars. Well, you can predict certain outcomes. A lot of money is going to be spent. A lot of people are going to die. You know. If you're the same person intellectually you were as a 10th grader, please stop voting. We've tried regime change before in the Middle East, never works. We've also tried it in Latin America, and it never works. We think that we get to decide what other countries do and who rules them. And this is, Trump keeps trying to say he's the first person to have the courage to do it. He's the first person to have the stupidity to do it. Play oil hit 121 under Biden. Oil hit one. So, what does that have to do with anything? Winter, you think what you want, and I'll think what I want. I'm not challenging anybody on here, so don't challenge me. I'm merely making statements that I believe. Do you eat spaghetti? Yes, I eat. I not only eat spaghetti, I make my own spaghetti that I eat. Not the sauce, the noodles. And I grind my own flour when I make my spaghetti. So yes, I am a spaghetti master. Now I want to eat some spaghetti. Gavin is who you will be voting for 2028. That's how stupid you be. I will vote for whatever Democrat is nominated. I don't know why you have this visceral hatred of Gavin Newsom. I have some issues with Gavin Newsom. He's not my first choice. But you voted for Donald Trump. And that man is an idiot. And he's a fool. And he's evil. And he's corrupt. And you don't even have a profile picture. Are you a bot? Was Biden the one who said he wants to end oil in the U.S.? I don't think anybody said that. I think what he said is he wants to get us. I think that he'd like us to get to the point where we run 100% on clean energy, which I think is a positive goal. Evaluation equals thinking, something a lot of people. Mamdani is also scary. We can't. What? All right. You're just being weird. Donald Trump donated $2 million. No, he didn't. Oh, to his charity? Well, I think he probably had people donate the money to his charity and then he spends it. Remember when he had this charity drive where he had an artist paint a picture of himself and then he auctioned off the picture of himself. Then he used his own charity to pay off he bid on the picture of himself, but he used his other charity to pay off the one charity, the bill for the thing. Then he hung the picture in his golf club. So yeah, all that is just that is what Donald Trump is, a picture of corruption and ego. By the way, Mandami is awesome. MAGA exists because Barack Obama was president. I saw all this coming as Obama's first campaign gained momentum. I was raised in the Midwest. MAGA is corny and myopic. It's the whole, remember, economic anxiety, right? That was the white way of the polite way of saying racism. Lucky for you, you are not. What a weird person you are. You have no reason to argue with me on anything because I'm not disputed. I don't. Am I arguing with you? If all teachers were Republican, math scores would be higher. Donald Trump is actually Obama in a fat suit with a CIA mask. Well, mocking somebody who got shot in the neck. All right, so let's move on to the next subject. As long as remember Trump's Mueller post. I did that mocking thing just to troll you because I knew somebody would come on and say something like that. And I just wanted to ask you, what was your reaction to Donald Trump saying that he's glad Mueller is dead? All these people that like just lost their like absolute poop, that anybody did not like adequately mourn the passing of Charlie Kirk, instead of like quoting racist crap he said. Like all of those people were terrible. JD Vance said they deserved to be fired. So where was Donald Trump? Bob Mueller, say what you want about him, but he has a pretty good history with the United States. What he I think he was was he a veteran? He was also a Republican, by the way. But yeah, he was in the Marine Corps. He was a combat veteran. Was he? It was anyway. So he was in the Marines. He was deployed to South Vietnam, where he served as a rifle platoon leader. On December 11th, 1968, during engagement in Operation Scotland II, he earned the Bronze Star with V device for combat valor after rescuing a wounded Marine under enemy fire during an ambush in which half of his platoon became casualties. In April 1969, he was wounded in the thigh by enemy gunfire, recovered, and returned to lead his platoon in June of 69. For his service in Vietnam, Mueller's military decorations and awards include the Bronze Star Medal with V device, the Purple Heart, 2 Navy and Army Corps Commendation Medals with Combat V, the Combat Action Ribbon, the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal with 4 service stars, the Republic of Vietnam Gallery Cross, the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal, and the Parachutist Badge. So that's a pretty decorated war hero, aside from all the stuff he did as a prosecutor. That's better than dodging the draft like Donald Trump did. So what was Bob Mueller's great crime? is that a Republican attorney general and Trump's Republican attorney general appointed him as a special prosecutor to look into whether or not Russia had interfered with the US elections. And guess what they did? He got convictions along the way. He convicted people of crimes that they actually committed. Some of them pled guilty to the crimes that they committed. But because it made Trump look bad, he's a terrible person. So where's all your, you know, I'm just a dude with a live stream, and you're sitting there going on about how terrible I am for my little Charlie Kirk joke. Where's all your, the president of the United States said he was glad a war hero was dead because he had a feeling boo-boo. This whole scenario is eerily like the movie Idiocracy, complete with the BS presidential cabinet. It is so, it's like Idiocracy and Wag the Dog and, you know, I don't know, probably something else in there too. Both sides do commit crimes. I never said they don't, but that doesn't mean both sides are the same. I'm just enjoying the stream, flicking the old beam. Okay, well, to each his own. Where's the bike man? Yeah, I haven't seen Brett today. He might pop on. Sometimes he's, yeah, Brett. He's pretty much he's on the show a lot. But I think this might be during his work hours. A mountain lion got him on a weekend bike trip. Oh man, I'm sorry, Brett. How you doing, Skippy? Good to see you. He's the mod. Kamala Harris was the greatest electric school bus engineer I've ever met. I would rather you teach us things like facts and things like you have before and not beat Donald Trump to the ground every time there's a podcast. Well, I mean, what would you like me to talk about, Gary? I mean, like I'm saying things that are facts and you're just saying, you know, what are we supposed to do about that? I really have issues with what Donald Trump is doing right now. That's, you know, hey, it's Brett. How you doing? People were just asking about you. No, DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It does not, but I have a feeling you're not really curious as to what DEI is. Or why it is, for that matter. Congratulations on, yeah, you survived your, was it a bear or, you got attacked by something. Oh, there you go. A mountain lion got you on a weekend bike trip. So, according to the news from Skippy. Okay, so it's true. Look up what the stages of collapse are. On your 5th stage, denial is the 6th stage. No, it's not. Intermission. What was that? Oh, wow. I'm way back. I'm like way behind. Anyway, sorry. Terrorist Ashley Babbitt could have been in Pacific Beach, Point Lima at Starbucks, where the median price of a house is $2.2 million. Instead, she got busted in the neck. That's MAGA. Actually, I think she got shot in the shoulder. I don't know how you get killed by getting shot in the shoulder, but are high schools and colleges indoctrination camps for left-wing radicals? No. Trump uses morning tweets to threaten Iran shift oil policy, then tweets We're over by afternoon before the close of the market. It's to benefit the insiders. It's like I'm just curious if he's said what he said in the hour and 11 minutes since I started here. Regime change is just a way to waste a lot of money and lives, especially if the regime doesn't change, right? Do you use the scythe to harvest the wheat? Actually, the new guy might be even more hardline than the old guy. Do you use a scythe to harvest the wheat that you use to make the flour that you use to make the pasta? Oh, flour. I do not harvest my own wheat, but I do buy the grain. When did you get your degree in poli-sci? I didn't. Mark Kelly, 2028. So yeah, we want to just open this up to people that aren't MAGAs. Who would you like to see run in 2028? Who is your top pick? I'm still not certain, but I'm really starting to like Pete Buttigieg, because I just think that he's an incredibly intelligent and articulate person who would navigate our country out of the colossal cluster fornication that Donald Trump has made it. Donald Trump will be compared with Nero, Caligula, and Herod in the decades to come. I'm already comparing him to Caligula. Gavin isn't my top choice, but if he's the nominee, hell yeah, I'm voting for it. I mean, you guys are talking about Marco Rubio, who has a drinking problem, and J.D. Vance, who has sex with couches. Bro doesn't know anything about the Russian-Ukraine conflict and how that affected gas prices under Biden. It was the number one driver of gas prices under Biden. And as a result, also one of the main drivers of inflation. I've been hearing he's gonna fully implement Sharia law. Oh yeah. So Mamdani is going to implement Sharia law. I keep hearing that. The guy that is pro LGBTQ is going to implement Sharia law. Like, these people don't even make sense. Do you know who wants Sharia law? Republicans. They just don't want to call it Sharia law. Trump recently lied about China's turbine use. Turbines make up 10% of China's power output. China added more clean energy last year than the United States has. I will pay $383,000 more in taxes because of a guy whose name you can't spell. And every bit of it will be well spent, because people that can't make their own money need help from others. Yeah, you're not paying $382,000 more in taxes. You're not. You're just not. Anybody that's making that much money is not watching my live stream. Now, if you want to prove me wrong and like make a $10,000 donation to my live stream, that would be swell. And I'll admit that I was wrong, but Hollywood actors are the same as Trump. Hollywood actors aren't the same as Trump. And unfortunately, there will still be people who will look on him fondly because insular cults have whitewashing dictators. Yes. There's a difference in mourning and mocking, bro. Yeah, okay. I've never seen more liberals get together and cheer for the same thing as I did on September 10th. Yeah. How many did you see get together and cheer? Like, this sounds made up to me, Golfman. And actually, him being racist isn't. He is racist. And I have watched the whole thing. I'm not going to go into that again. If you see a black pilot and you think he didn't deserve his job, you're a racist. I don't need all the wig wagging about it. Charlie Kirk is a racist. He was a racist. I think the days that Kelly teaches us things I hate, the days where he just bashes Trump all day long. I'm just responding to comments, buddy. Life is easier when nobody challenges your ridiculous beliefs. Yeah, like that Charlie Kirk is a racist just because he said racist things. That's not just what he said, but he's a racist. I'm not going to go through the whole thing with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk said racist crap. He's a racist. Even what he said about he was talking about how it was used to not to allow men in women's restrooms, first of all, which, by the way, he was also transphobic. I don't have any problem with trans women using women's restrooms, but that's not what he said. He was sitting there talking about how it was being used to enforce reverse racism. Reversing racism is not racism. And reversing racism is not reverse racism. It is stopping existing racism. Mueller got the Purple Heart. I don't know. Mueller got the Bronze Star with valor and Purple Heart, but the sitting GOP rapist, the grapist, supremacist, convicted felon, trash cosplay press, craps a diaper on the golf course and says he's dead. That's your guy? People that would have that sort of tax obligation find ways out through a CPA. They'll buy a plane first and write it off. There's no way that dude is paying $382,000 extra in taxes. That means he's saying he's paying $382,000 more in taxes than he was paying. Which, by the way, I think the tax is only like if you're a millionaire or something. I am taking what he said into context, Nick. I am. You need to take it into context. MAGA was happily eating Cheetos, watching pro wrestling and reality TV before Obama was elected. I don't think it's appropriate any time to make fun of somebody that's been killed. It wasn't making fun of somebody that's been killed. It was making fun of his wife. I know, shocking, I voted for Obama and Trump. Dumb, backwards, MAGA plate lickers only care about gas price at the pump, ignoring that their freedoms and futures are being stolen. How do you go from voting for Obama to voting for Trump? Nobody, I don't want to say nobody did that, but every time, when people say, I was a Democrat for 40 years until now, this is why. And it's like, okay, why were you a Democrat for 40 years? Why did you vote for Obama? And why did you change your mind with Trump? What was the positive thing about Obama that you voted for? The criticism of Charlie Kirk isn't getting to me. My criticism of Charlie Kirk is clearly getting to a lot of people that, want to act like he was the Messiah. The hate party is by far the left. Yes. As long as they got theirs, they don't care about anybody else. Friendzone said people only voted for Trump because Obama got elected. He was implying racists got mad and voted. Yeah. Why is that wrong? Trump's central theme is crime. He takes felonious actions because he enjoys it. It's your podcast. I'm not saying to tell you what to do, but I really do enjoy when you teach us things on here. Yeah, I couldn't really think of anything to talk about today, so I'm just reading the comments, Gary. If you have suggestions for something you would like to discuss, go ahead and drop a comment, and I'll see if I want to do a slideshow on it. Display bike man is holding up traffic, riding his 10 speed in the middle of the road in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. DAI is just about obsolete. No, it's not. This vet will never respect anyone who decked out. Also from Arizona, former senator, not a saint. When he would not vote to get rid of Obamacare, when he called names Obamacare. I don't know what you're rambling on about. Are you talking about Mark Kelly not wanting to get rid of the Affordable Care Act? Bye, Harry. Have a good one. MAGA wants to get back the original DEI, discrimination, exclusion, and ignorance. MAGA is proud of Strom Thurmond. Nick, what is DEI? I can almost assure you that you have not got a single clue what DEI actually is. I never hear anybody that's actually opposed to DEI adequately explain to me what DEI is. Let me tell you the first mistake that people make with DEI is they equate it with quotas. There's no quotas with DEI. DEI is not hiring black people over white people. It's not lowering the standards. What it does, this is what the diversity means, is you're just saying, okay, we're only hiring white people. Why is that? And then, oh, because we're only recruiting white people. So let's go out and recruit people that aren't white. So you go to HBCUs and you recruit people. And maybe some of the people in those HBCUs are actually more qualified than the people you were quoting, you were recruiting from whatever state schools or whatever. Maybe you find somebody that's actually more qualified and black. And so you hire them. That's actually what a diversity hire is. Diversity hire, they want to make it sound like quotas. And they want to make it sound like diversity means you make the pool smaller, only black people. But DEI, diversity, means you make the pool larger. You still recruit white people, but now you're also recruiting black people, and you're also recruiting veterans, and you're also recruiting women, and you're also recruiting Asians, and you're recruiting all kinds of people. You're just noticing that you're only hiring certain people because you're only recruiting those people. So you make a conscious effort to recruit more people. All right. So this is not making the pool smaller. It's not like getting the biggest fish in a little pond. It's making the pond larger. So you get the biggest fish in a bigger pond, which is usually going to be a bigger fish. And sometimes those fish are black people. It's not that hard. The U.S. is removing Iran sanctions in place since the 90s, selling Iranian oil to keep domestic gas prices from exploding during the very war it's currently fighting. Is wild as fornication. Market manipulation. Yeah, it is. Okay, hey, by the way, if this is your first time watching and you haven't done so yet, hit like and subscribe. I would very much appreciate that. And hey, thank you. I show enough. Thanks for the contribution to the program. I appreciate that. I see a lot of people getting $100 donations, but hey, if anybody wants to donate $100, I'm more than happy. I mean, I'm actually, you were just bragging about how much you're paying in taxes. Can you afford $100? You can't handle your truth. What truth can I not handle? Nitpick much? You can't afford a profile picture. because he's just had to pay $374,000 extra dollars in taxes. Oh, I went from Obama to Trump when the left started pushing for allowing kids to change their gender. When did that happen? First of all, when did the left start pushing for allowing kids to change their gender? Like, that's a whole lot of nonsense right there. But transgender politics didn't become a thing until like 2020 or 2024. It's only, Obama wasn't like sitting there pushing through transgender stuff. Number one. And in 2016, it wasn't an issue. It was just not it wasn't a political issue. And secondly, kids don't change their gender. And nobody's pushing for kids to change their gender. Just recognize that transgender people exist. So I don't really believe you, Nick. I don't believe you on face value because transgender stuff was not an issue in 2016 election. So that is not why you switched from Obama to Trump. Adults, I don't care, but leave the kids alone. What kids are being forced to? It's such a fake talking point. What is that? I have a nephew that he was, my niece until about 2 or 3 years ago. And I think he was a junior in high school when he recognized, when he came out and said he was trans. And you know what I did? I just started calling him my nephew instead of my niece. There's no skin off of my back. His parents, my brother and his wife, sent him to get care through counseling for gender dysphoria. Do you think that gender dysphoria should be treated? Like, what does that even mean? Children are not like having surgeries or whatever. How much do profile pictures cost? I can finance it with a credit score of 485. Too progressive is actually anti-woman. No. Men aren't dominating women's sports. I mean, this is just all made up stuff, Nick. Kelly, look up how Pete did as mayor of South Bend. Then you might change your mind. He actually did pretty good. Budak cannot handle a train wreck. Yeah, what a weirdo. I mean, like, MAGA are just so myopically stupid that it is hard to have a real conversation with them. What do you mean he couldn't handle a train wreck? What was he supposed to do? Swoop down and fly and pick up the train and carry it away? He didn't do anything wrong. You're talking about the one train wreck in Ohio. And so somehow he was supposed to handle it. It was a rhetorical question. I don't really gaff about you. I would like to see Alfred E. Newman. I believe he would be the best choice. Mark Carney. I know Michelle Obama isn't going to run. Hey, Rainbow, how you doing, buddy? Wow, we've had both Kitties and Brett and Skippy. We got all the regulars in today. If Michelle Obama ran, I think she would do really well. But I think part of the reason she would do really well is the reason she won't run. She tends to like hate politics, and because of that, she has this way of being completely honest. So Vance and Rick James, I don't know about the Rick James thing. I don't. Afro Man for president. I don't know what reality is. Just a bunch of troll poop posting. Did you care about me enough to use my name in your message? What? Democrats have no leaders after Kamala word salad. They are done for. Okay. You guys are stuck with Marco Rubio and JD Vance. The Old Testament and Sharia law. I like they're the if we're being honest, the Democrats are stacked. There are a lot of really good candidates. Why are you putting down people that have diseases such as alcoholism? I've wanted to be a girl since I was 4 years old. Friend, nobody pushed me to do anything. I didn't even know what transgender was until middle school. It's like all of these people have all kinds of opinions about transgender people that have never talked to a single transgender person. Like, you know, I was confused on transgender issues. And what cleared me up a lot was like talking to people that are transgender and like understanding where they were at, not from a political point of view, but from a personal point of view. That changed my politics on the issues. If my couch identifies as a furry, why are you scrutinizing Kelly's donations? Get off your pulpit. Do you guys know what the Epstein files would be under Sharia law? Just the norm. Why are we talking about Sharia law? I would like to point out that it's the Republicans that are trying to make it legal to marry 12-year-olds. The Sharia law is right-wing nutjob extremists, religious right-wing nutjob extremists. The only difference between MAGA law and Sharia law is the religion. I prefer my screwdrivers with orange juice that has no pulp. JD Vance belongs on the 700 Club or something, not vice president. The Democrats need a fresh start. That bench is ridiculous. There are some really good Democrats. Like I like Pete Buttigieg. I actually like Kamala Harris. I thought she had some good stuff that kind of got pushed to the back burner because like they never actually talked about her policies because of all the craziness that was going on. I actually like Sheldon Whitehouse a lot too. Plus, I love the idea of put a White House in the White House. Nobody's taking genetic altering drugs. I don't even know if there's such a thing as genetic altering drugs. There's hormone blockers that are reversible. And it's not like you can just go and pick them up at the corner store, Nick. In order to get the hormone therapy, you need to be like, get a doctor to sign off on it. And typically that requires a couple of years of counseling. And the problem is, this is why you need the hormone blocker, right? Because it affects you for the rest of your life. You get an Adam's apple. That Adam's apple sticks with you forever. So if you get a hormone blocker, you don't have the Adam's apple. You don't grow breasts if you're a trans boy. It allows you to not have to be forced to go through biological changes that you don't want and are going to affect you for the rest of your life. If everything is racist, nothing is racist. Right, but some things are racist. Just to not, like just that's a non sequitur. No, we haven't watered down the term racist. Who's watered down the term racist is people denying actual racism is racism over and over again, to the point where if you point out something is racist, that just proves it's not. All right. Stating that man can go into female restrooms should not is a not a. No, it's a transphobic statement. I promise you, I've wanted this for as long as I can remember. I'm not going to regret it. Millionaires don't play on YouTube with his 2 cat videos and no profile pic. Hey, I'm just hoping he proves me wrong and gives me the $10,000. I love your show, Kelly, but today is just too negative for me. Have a good day, and I'll check back in with you tomorrow. Okay, Gary, thanks for stopping by. ICE is in my airport. Thank goodness. Trump 2028. Yes, because why do you want ICE in your airport? Because the Democratic Party has gone far left. And if you disagree with one little thing even if you on their side, then you become the enemy. Okay, how is any of that true? I know that Donald Trump said today that anybody that now that Iran is taken care of, the Democratic Party is the #1 enemy of the United States. All right. Tell me, and then with Donald Trump, anybody that is not 100% pro-Trump is a Democrat, is an enemy. Disagreeing with Trump makes you the enemy in Donald Trump's book. And you're sitting there telling me that's the Democratic Party? No, it's not. MAGA, why do you always have to have awful poop happen to you before you learn anything? You're being used on a level you can't understand. Obama gave us law to make phone companies keep our phone numbers. Same when move companies. Cannot think of anything else. Well, the Affordable Care Act and would disagree, and the fact that he brought us out of the biggest recession since the Great Depression. But sure, I'm going to imagine that you are just not aware of what Obama actually did. He saved the U.S. auto industry. Did you hear the Senate block the trans athlete ban law? Oh, I did not. I'm glad they did. That was something that was really concerning to me. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to take another break. I've got a kidney stone, so that's why. I'm back. Thanks for waiting. If you did. If you didn't, I understand. Create. But I really don't think you do, Nick. I don't think you understand what DEI was trying to do. MAGA is the ultimate DEI. How does a POS Fox host become the secretary? If you want to talk about people that got jobs without earning them, the entire Trump administration. Former Senator McCain voted against removing the ACA. Yes. I know plenty of people that had DEI in their companies, and it did not. No, you don't. Maybe, haha, you're part of the problem. To this day, white high school graduates are employed at a higher rate than black college graduates. DEI is the practice to help establish diversity. However, it does end up being racist to whites. No, it doesn't. It doesn't end up being racist to whites. It doesn't. Giving a black person a job is not racist to whites. It's not. It's not a quota system. You're not sitting there giving a designated number of jobs to black people and therefore limiting the number of white people that can get that job. That's not what it is. Like, it's just not. Just boot the guy. He's not going to open his eyes. I don't know. Feel free to boot whoever you're talking about. Many young white men cannot find jobs because companies are hiring. So you're okay if the women and people of color can't find jobs? What do you mean hiring blacks over them? What if the black person deserves the job? A lot of people can't find jobs at all because Donald Trump is screwing up the economy and there aren't any jobs to find. But the facts are the facts, but you don't know what the facts are. And black people getting jobs does not mean they got jobs over white people. It could just mean they deserve the job more. Okay. Okay. All right. I kind of got totally lost my spot. So I'm just going to, all right, let's just, I'm so far behind anyway. All right. So, wow. You're clueless. Boomers watch too much CNN. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Okay, here you go with insults. Goodbye. I didn't really insult anybody. So the swimmer that was the 20-hour male swimmer didn't swap and dominate. No. Go MAGA. In Germany, you can be trans. Tell your peers. And they nod and carry on with their day. You're the worst political commentator on the internet. Aren't you the person that just said I was the one that was going with the insults? Hey, help with recovery, duh. Does it really bother you? I mean, really? Are you thinking about when you're at the store pumping gas, walking your dog? Pick something up. You think it's controversial and roll with it all night long? That's you. I don't want my niece to get beat up in sports. Is that so wrong? Your niece isn't getting beat up in sports. Pete was a lousy transportation secretary. I love Pete. I'd love for him to be president. I'm not sure that we can expect this Trump-educated country to vote for him. I don't know why you think that, but listen, stupid. I fight for your right to have health care, livable wages for your potential mixed-race grandchildren to not fall prey to racism by a billionaire liar that doesn't give a fornication about you. And didn't the left say that human? No, okay, it's always the left. Like, what is it with the left? The left said this. Okay, first of all, science says that your brain does not fully develop until you're age 22 or 23. That's not what the left says. That's what science says. That's what actual neurology says. If that's the case, why should all these kids, why should we, because it's not the same thing. Number one. Number two, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's not like anybody was saying that you can't have guns until you're 22 or 23. You're taking a completely imaginary scenario and you're comparing that with a completely real scenario with lifelong consequences for something that doesn't affect you. I think that there are things in place. Like, typically you have to go see a counselor for like a couple of years before you can get hormone therapy. They want to make sure that you're actually in place. Who are you to question? Who are you to question it? Who are you? Just some random dude with an opinion and no actual education on the issue? We're supposed to just throw out what the people that actually know what they're talking about saying because, you know, you're afraid that you're going to get turned on by a girl that was born a boy. I think most of these transphobic people are just genuinely worried that they're going to end up being revealed as a closet gay person in their mind because they're going to be attracted to a transgender woman. After being on estrogen for long enough, your muscle strength will very closely resemble that of a cisgender woman. Same with the oxygen intake. Yes. And that's one of those little things that they like to ignore. Or the fact that it's like a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of transgender men participating in women's sports. Or that a lot of the transgender people that actually do succeed in sports are transgender boys. Or transgender men actually often succeed in sports. I mean, relatively, like a transgender male is more likely to do better in their sport than a transgender woman. And it's always like they always want to take like the very, very, very rare example of a trans woman that actually had some success and ignore everything else. It's just, and it's all like, for what? You know, here's my argument for why transgender people should be allowed to participate in sports. It saves lives. It literally saves lives. The number one, like, transgender kids are more likely, like over 50% of them try to commit suicide before they graduate from school. Did you know that? More than half of transgender kids try to commit suicide before they graduate from high school. All right. The number one thing that reduces suicidal ideology among transgender people is participation in a team event or sport. Teamwork literally keeps trans people alive. All right. Some girl that got a volleyball spiked in her face, that even, you know, that got injured because a volleyball got spiked, has nothing to do with the fact the kid was transgender. Doesn't negate all the lives that can be saved by letting transgender people participate in sports. To me, that's the only argument I needed to hear. That argument alone, it saves lives. Do you prefer children die or do you prefer children live? That is the only question you need to ask. Instead of all these made up bull crap nonsense about, oh, my niece is not safe. As though women never got injured in sports until transgender people started involving themselves. So, Rainbow, how old were you when you started getting hormone therapy? If you don't mind my asking. You know, I don't know why people are so against trans kids going on puberty blockers. It's completely reversible if you change your mind down the road. And I think, okay, only like 1% of transgender people even change their mind going down the road. And even of the people, well, that stop doing puberty blockers, most of the people that stop doing it aren't stopping doing it by choice. They're stopping doing it because they can't afford it anymore. She did. Why can't people use at least, why can't Donald Trump just give the same answer 2 sentences in a row? Why can't people use at least Google before saying poop? I mean, if a subject is bothering somebody so much that they have a rant about it on YouTube, maybe do some research and find out if you're right first. This is like such a perfect point. It's like, why do I have to be the one that explains like that up is up and down is down? Like there's actual reality out there. Like you can just look up what Charlie Kirk said. That's racist. Why people say it's racist. And yeah, there's justifications for it too, but then there's actual rebuttals to those justifications. Charlie Kirk was a racist. That's not an opinion. That's an actual objective reality. Brett, you expect them to research something to dispute the propaganda they are fed. Yeah, but I was hoping. I look up everything I'm told on here. I don't care which side it's from. Yes, I mean, I will look up things up that I didn't know to learn more about them. I'll look up things I did, you know, that disagree with me to see if they're true. That's called learning. I don't know why we turned into a society that despises learning. Just because you can't see. Okay, I'm sorry you're scared of men. You're just scared of men, Nick. If you ever need a good laugh, just read about Katie Frost. Katie Frost? Okay, I'll do that. Katie Frost. I'm just writing this down here. So that I can read about that later. Nobody is denying racism, but we are trying to silence while the left is continuing to. You're not trying to silence it. You're trying to deny it exists. I mean, yeah, when you see, let me just be perfectly clear. If you see a black pilot and your first thought is they did not earn their job, you are a racist. Are you going to help fund it? Obama did not ruin healthcare forever. I mean, why can't the Democratic Party fund what? Oh, the Transgender League? Because it's a stupid thing to say. If you support Trump financially insecure and don't know anything about Roy Cohn, then you're so lost, there's probably no saving you. Getting certified in a gainful profession might help. I thought Trump was cutting spending. 200 billion to a meaningless war is not cutting spending. No, and I'm pretty sure we just went over $39 trillion. He added how much? The deficit in 2029 was 1.8 trillion. So all things considered, we could not, I mean, we're going to hit 40 trillion by the end of the year. Probably before the summer. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 50 trillion, if the debt hit 50 trillion with Trump president. I think being willfully ignorant about minor subjects, all this poop in the world is going on right now. I'm amazed. I think a transport league would be, yeah. You realize there are like only less than 100 trans athletes in high school and college combined in the entire country, right? Like most states have like maybe a couple of trans people, if that many, that are participating in sports. How are you going to, like, that's just such a dumb thing to say. Like the Republicans have made this thing out to where like there's just leagues and leagues and leagues of forced trans people that are coming out to get them or something, and they're raiding your bathroom, and like the only thing right now that keeps a sex predator from going into the bathroom is that it says women, and that's a rule. And if you break, like that rule, there's like a magical shield that rule can't be broken. But like the actual rape, the law against raping is not going to prevent anybody. But the putting a women's sign is like a barrier unless you identify as a woman. It's like so dumb. Why does MAGA always have to be dumb? I know that you have brains in your heads. Why does every talking point have to be that like insistence on not flexing that brain muscle in your skull? I'm a Joe Kent fan, has more America than Bone Spurs than Donald. Yeah. And he said that Iran wasn't a threat. If you disagree with the left, no, I do not think that anybody that disagrees with me is a racist. I think people that agree with racist stuff are racist. And I don't think that you can actually see, this is just all deflection. It's all deflection. Notice how he's not actually talking about anything that is or is not racist. I suppose I don't know what he thinks racist is, but apparently anything that the left says is racist is not racist, and racism doesn't exist, and Republicans want to just close their eyes and pretend it away, and that means that they're not racist. Men have scary physical advantages, so puberty blockers are a good thing, right? Fair point. Besides, the trans athlete population is so very small, there simply wouldn't be enough people. That's my point. You wouldn't even be able to play a baseball league with all the trans in a male and female together. And it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. If you look at the number, like the people that are trans athletes in high school, college level, and what they win, the percentage chance of succeeding as a trans athlete is no different than the percentage of succeeding as a cis athlete. It doesn't actually end up giving any statistical advantage overall. Now, there are some sports where a slight advantage may go to trans women or to trans men, depending on the sports, because there are some things that are biologically tied to the gender that give one or the other advantage. I think that females they're like absorb oxygen better or something. So like a lot of the aerobic sports and stuff like that, there's a certain advantage to them. Men can, are taller, and it's like if you're 6'3", that's an advantage for a swimmer, But most men aren't 6'3" either. It's not like a trans woman grows 8 inches because she says she's trans. My husband thinks he's pregnant again. As long as that person meets those. Okay, as long as that person meets those requirements for that job, then yes. So why do you think that people are getting jobs that they're not qualified for? What is your basis for saying that? You're just, because this is my point. You're carrying an assumption that black people getting jobs are not qualified for them, and they got those jobs in lieu of white people who were qualified for them. That's your position that you're taking right now. And you're saying you're not a racist. You are saying that if a black person and a white person applied for the same job, it is not possible for the black person to just be a better candidate. But you're also saying you're not a racist. Terry says, all BS. And then Greg says, thanks for specifying what you're speaking about. I agree. It would be nice to get a league of our own, but funding and a lack of players is going to make it difficult to start a league. You're really arguing like it matters that a black American earned a job. It will never be about what's earned, and you know that. I don't know what you mean. There's a war, there's a collapsing economy, there's a pedophile cover-up, and you morons are arguing about trans. Well, you know, every time Republicans start losing an argument, then they start bringing up the trans people, right, Kitty? This is like we should call it like the trans law of YouTube or something. That every time that you know the Republicans have lost the argument when they start yelling about trans people. Brett's like, I know, right? With all this stuff going on in the world, MAGA men have grown up with white privilege. They think that being white should always be an advantage in getting a job. It's like, I applied for the job and a black woman got it. Well, she has a PhD and you have a high school diploma. That doesn't matter. I was more qualified. I don't even watch the media anymore. I have no idea what does watch the media mean anyway? Like, watch the media? Bro, everything you say is Trump this, Trump that, and when somebody mentions anyone because we're talking about Trump is the president. We're allowed to talk about the president. When he starts a war with another country unilaterally, we're allowed to talk about him. Donald Trump was born into privilege and has always been an a-hole. Now there's a psychotic frat boy running the U.S. A lot of deaths and a lot of grapes seem to get overlooked in exchange for the ability to say because the left. I mean, like, why is it that everything that, like, it's just so insane that now it's like, oh, well, you're talking about Trump, and as soon as somebody says what about, you know, it's like they're arguing for the legitimacy of whataboutism as an actual valid argument. I have a degree in electronics engineering technology, specialize in microprocessor interfacing. I retired last year. Let one of these white people apply for it. I don't even understand what your degree is in. I doubt there was had a friend that had a PhD one time, or he was studying for his PhD and was doing his PhD thesis, and he spoke to me about an hour about what his PhD, the subject of his thesis was. I still, after he had talked about it for an hour, I still had no idea what it was. I mean, like, some people are just smart. So we're ignoring the 65. What does that have to do with anything at all? Yeah, I'm Gen X. 50. I was born in 67. And Trump campaigned on not starting wars, and yet here we are. Otherwise, you admit that we shouldn't wait until you are fully grown. I have no idea what that's. No, I don't admit anything. I mean, like, you got this weirdo false premise context that you're going on there. Probably some, I don't know. How do we get to Mueller to this? Yeah, well, I don't know. Going through the comments, you only look at who is winning. Subpar athletes jump literally hundreds of places. No, they don't. Thank you. I was a transgender child. I was born 46XX DSD. It works. They literally are talking about 10 athletes in the NCAA. It can too. Sorry, take your disinformation somewhere else. Trump is king because they can't afford it anymore. It's terrible. Yes. Okay. That's all you need to know. All you need to know is you'll never be able to say it on this channel again. You are shadow banned forever. Yep. 1% regret rate. I haven't started hormones yet, but I'm very close. I would have been on hormones for over a year now if Trump hadn't banned it. I think no matter the number of trans people, they should have the right to have their. Here's the thing: is when you say stuff like have their own bathroom or have their own sports league, the whole point is that they are who they say they are. So you're like, oh, okay, you're a trans woman. You're a trans woman. But they're not trans women as far as they're concerned, or trans men as far as they're concerned. They are men and they are women. You're not humoring them. You're allowing them to exist as they are in their mind. And it's like, imagine I were to somehow, what was that? There was a, can't remember, there was this, can't remember the name of the show, but it was a good show. It was on Netflix, and it was about this, like, they had this detective guy that had been put to sleep for so many decades, and then they brought him back into a new body to investigate this murder, and then he goes back under, and then they come back and he's a different guy. So I was just thinking about this. Imagine that that this technology was real, right? And I could take your brain and put it into somebody else's body. And I were to take your male brain, if that's what it is, and put it in a female body, or vice versa, would you be, and you look down and you saw your genitals did not match what was in your brain? Would you still think of yourself as a man, or would you think of yourself as a woman? This is what you're asking people to do, is you're asking them to change their mindset on what gender they are. You're not asking them to change their mind. You're asking them to change their mindset. The very organic chemistry in their brain, not just their opinion or whatever. There's actual organic chemistry going on inside the brain that says, something else. The actual literal brain chemistry is saying something different than that. Kitty, if I'm wrong on that, then feel free to hop on and correct me. But I'm pretty sure that's the case. Is it's not just somebody woke up one day and decided that they like dolls, and so then they became transgender. Like there's stuff that goes on even in the gestational process, to where the very first thing that happens is you get assigned your genitals, but then later on in gestation, your brain chemistry can like go the other direction. So your brain can be told you're a female, and while your genitals tell you you're a male, or the other way around. So you have some people that say you are what your penis says you are, and then other people that say you are what your brain says you are. And it's easier to reconcile the anatomy to the brain than the brain to the anatomy. That's and it's safer and it saves lives. Like, please, if you're just like anti-trans, actually go beyond just stupid talking points and look at the actual science of it. I don't want to hear poop about protecting women by people who support a child rapist. Trump is a rapist. Trump is a pedophile. Trump is a murderer. And he's a child murderer, possibly. I have a theory. MAGA have been religiously repressed since childhood and are afraid of being in the bathroom at the same time because their feelings. Quick Google check. By the way, the people that are in the most danger in the bathrooms are transgender people. Over half of transgender people are assaulted in bathrooms every year. Quick Google check. U.S. national debt is increasing on an average of approximately $6.4 billion to $7.23 billion per day, which equates to roughly $45 to $50 billion per week. Man, so that's $2.6 billion a year, roughly. Holy bleep, the debt might actually reach 45 trillion by the end of 2027. Yeah, it's going up astronomically. But at least the rich people aren't paying taxes anymore. That's the important thing. We're going to have to cut everybody's Social Security, but more that is something in it. And that's an actual stat. That's not just a that's not like a hyperbolic statement. That's an actual true statement. According to the Congressional Budget Office, we have been borrowing $50 billion a week for the past few months. And he wants $200 billion to start a new war. That's been increasing every year. Well, every year since Clinton. But here's you go through Clinton, Obama, and Biden. Every single one of them lowered the deficit every year. Bush, like Reagan, Bush, Trump, and Trump too have all raised the deficit every single year. So yes, the debt has been going up under presidents from both parties, but the deficit has been going down under one and up under the other. Well, no one's going to get us there faster than Caligula. I do not want to hear poop about. I want to play tennis or badminton because I genuinely love these sports, but I fear I cannot do so anymore. Oh, by the way, this is very important. I was waiting until Kitty got back on, even though she's in the background, because she brought this. Back to Charlie Kirk. Did you hear his mentor died? This is not a joke. Kirk's mentor died. And I kid you not. This is just too bizarre and weird to like not share. So Charlie Kirk's mentor dies after freak pickleball accident. Charlie Kirk's longtime mentor has died following a bizarre and tragic pickleball accident. Jeff Webb, 76, died after falling while playing pickleball and suffering a severe head injury. Cheer Daily reported the 76-year-old was hospitalized after the accident, and his family decided to take him off life support. So sad that he's died. I don't actually, but what a weird way to go. And a pickleball accident. Who knew that pickleball could be such a deadly sport? Did you see Bill Clinton smiling, looking at old photos? No. I don't know what, like, if Bill Clinton raped girls, he should go to prison for it. I don't know what's with all the, oh, what about Bill Clinton stuff? But as far as I know, Bill Clinton has not actually been accused of anything. Men are taller. We have larger hearts and lungs in proportion to this. Men have denser bones. Yeah. So what? That poop is ironic as hell. Resistance Kitty comes out swinging with the truth. Trump has raped more females than there are trans athletes in the world. Being white is a great starter in life. It is. What's your point for real? I do, however, want to make everybody a painting of Trump when he said transgender for everybody and bedazzle it because it's so ironic, laugh aloud. He's transphobic, but he said transgender for everybody. Like this whole idea that like people are going this, like Bobby goes to school as Bobby, then like some teacher convinces him he's Sally, rushes him off to some kind of surgery, and he comes home with a vagina instead of a penis. It's like transgendered and drag queens were not on Epstein Island. Also, I would like to point out that drag queens and transgender people are two entirely different things. Like, I get so tired of, like they'll show the drag queens reading in the library to, like when you talk about transgender people, and it's like, those aren't transgender people. Those are drag queens. And I don't have a problem with trans or drag queens reading to children in libraries. When people show me drag queens reading to children in libraries, I just want to ask them, well, if you have a problem with that, why don't you go read to children in libraries? Like, I mean, they're reading to children, and you got an issue with that? Because Trump does a whole lot of bleeping up. Maybe if he was doing good things, we could talk about that. I would love to talk. The one good thing Trump did, I've given him credit for, Warp Speed, Operation Warp Speed. Of course, you guys like to run from that now. I like the fire in today's chat. Yeah, I think we're starting to get enough of a audience of non-MAGAs to combat the MAGAs, and it's not just non-MAGAs. It's maybe non-MAGAs because it's not all Democrats. Actually, I think we probably got just as many conservative non-MAGAs as we do Democrats in here. We need a trans SEAL team. I don't even know what that means. Why does it like why are trans jokes funny? Like what is the joke? Like why is that supposed to make me laugh? They have not been killing our soldiers since the 1970s. Listening to the DEI complaints makes me think about that movie, Hidden Figures. Folks need to watch it sometime. Yes, that's a great movie. There are no raping children on Epstein Island. Nobody's talking about that right now. I think you should just add that in your clipboard ready to push. Well, whoever Sam Snead was, he's gone. Would you enlist? I did enlist. Good thing I didn't say a trans comment. Then I would have lost. $4.10. Okay, I'm 12 minutes behind. Depends on how ignorant. Altered Carbon. Thank you. That is the movie that's the TV show I was thinking. That was a good TV show. If you've never watched it, it's on Netflix. It's a good show. Both seasons. I would be gay. I assumed you were. Brett, I love your snark. It's been a long day, and I came into this boob show. Yeah, you've got some vinegar on you today. Those who are averse to transgender treatment aren't able to understand that trans women went through all the steps because they always saw themselves as a female. A female is not a thing, is not thinking of having. There's the rest of that sentence somewhere. Spin doctoring much. I'm just holding up the mirror. People looking into it isn't my problem. This is awesome news. What's oh, the mentor? Yeah, I think he just fell down. What's pickleball? I don't know. It's like some sort of tennis, badminton type hybrid thing. I don't know. How many 76-year-olds die on the golf course? I'm hoping for 80. Whatever the number is, it needs to be one more. Thoughts on Chuck Norris? I guess he's not as tough as everybody thought he was. He turned out to be MAGA, which wasn't all that surprising. For the record, whatever treatment someone who is transgender chooses to make or not make are not your business, so focus on your own genitals. Yes, this is an excellent point. I don't know what the excellent point was, but I'm pretty sure it was excellent. My dad likes Silent Rage, but I thought it was okay. Didn't like his political blindness to what's going on in the world. Who is UFC 5? We have some Republicans here. I like some of our chats with. Yeah, I like having a conversation with people who disagree with me, but whose disagreement with me still is a conversation in reality. I keep telling you, I didn't say you were a MAGA. Cancer. Most of my friends are Republican. MAGA is just trash, so. I don't know anyone on the left who is defending Bill Clinton over anything, nor has anyone since Paula Jones accused of doing anything. Do you want to know, why do you think that's the case, Matthew? And what does mutilate themselves? The fact that you say mutilate themselves tells me, one, you have zero curiosity about anything, and you have zero intention of having an actual honest conversation about this. And number three, I hope to, I don't know, I mean, you're just a terrible person. That's what you're a terrible person. Your mom failed you, your dad failed you, you're failing your children. Whoever that is with you is also a failure. Everybody that is associated with you and loves you is a failure as a human being. So tired of this anti-trans crap. Nick Fuentes is a Democrat, but he did tell everyone recently to vote Democrat. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that. He's one of the people that's like really one of the MAGAs that's really upset that Donald Trump went back on his No New Wars. These people are social. I don't know. I'm being mean. The guy that I'm being mean because I just called out the guy that literally thinks an entire classification of people should just be comfortable in their own skin and not mutilate themselves because he has an opinion, and everybody, like millions and millions of people, have to go by his ignorant opinion. But I'm the mean guy. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. The mean thing is asking people that are trans to just exist in their world. It doesn't help nothing. I don't know what that. Vance Miller. Oh God, no. There is no way Stephen Miller would ever be elected to any office. What do you mean by anti-trans? By being anti-trans. Any legislation that opposes the existence of trans people. Sometimes you have to hit back just as hard at MAGA. They always assume that nobody's going to say anything back. And then they can sit there and play the, oh, what happened to the tolerant left card? Mental illness is strong these days. All dude was saying, why do you? Because he's an asshole, and so are you. Okay. I don't think Fuentes really cares about war. I think he's just a provocateur. He'll do whatever. Wasn't he like? I know Tyler Robinson, was that his name? The guy that killed Charlie Kirk. I think he was a big list. He was a big fan of Nick Fuentes too. Why is every single thing you type held by YouTube for a review? Are you on some kind of watch list? Did he? Looks like Matthew Gallagher is no longer with us. I don't assume that everybody who disagrees with me is MAGA. I actually just said the exact opposite. I said I like it when there are people who don't agree with everything I say that aren't MAGA. But when people keep spewing MAGA talking points, I tend to think they're MAGA. Matthew Gallagher, you're really in need of education. Don't speak again until you do some actual research. Are you anti? I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. He didn't. I still don't have a What do you mean you don't have a definition of a MAGA Republican? A MAGA, I think MAGA and Republicans are two different categories of people at this point. But a MAGA is somebody that's basically a blind supporter of Donald Trump. So far, I've had to manually approve every one of Matthew's comments. YouTube keeps holding them for a review. Either you or Kitty made sure that Matthew no longer will have to. Matthew's comments will no longer need to be reviewed. What did you witness about Trump recently? If being MAGA is pro-American, then why? I would say that being MAGA and being pro-American are mutually exclusive. You can be one or the other. But being MAGA is actually anti-American. Everything MAGA represents is anti-American. I hated the Apprentice. I think Trump is very arrogant and consider myself as far right as JFK. Well, that's interesting. Maggot. I don't use dehumanizing words. I have said this before. I don't condone calling MAGAs maggots. And when I say MAGAs, that is, they call themselves that. They wear their hat to remind them who they voted for because they're generally not bright enough to remember. I'm just, the only thing they need to figure out is how to get the writing on backwards so that when they look at it in the mirror, they can read it. They are not pro-American. They are pro-cruelty. That's all they are. Every single thing they celebrate involves somebody getting hurt. Yeah. You shouldn't debate MAGAs. They ignore liberals and seem much more mentally healthy that way. He's pro-Russia and pro-North Korea so far. Everybody in this country is getting F'd in the B. I feel like that should be a rap song. F'd in the B. Don't you want to see Donald Trump is molesting me? Based on the commentary, it must be happy hour. How the bleep is MAGA not America first? Because everything they do is anti-American. Just calling yourselves MAGA does not mean that you love America or something. I've gone through it. They've like First Amendment has like its different components, right? Freedom of speech, they're against that. Freedom of the press, they're against that. Freedom of religion, they're against that. Right to protest, they're against that. Second Amendment, they are for it until it's a protester that has a gun, then they're against it. The Third Amendment, which, you know, give Trump credit for this one, got me figuring out what all the amendments mean now. Third Amendment, that's the one that says that you can't be forced to quarter military people. Well, we actually had him challenging that, trying to force people to serve National Guard people. What about Fourth Amendment? Right now, the whole government shut down because they don't even want to issue warrants, judicial warrants, before they go and kick open your house. The Fifth Amendment, yeah, that thing's a thing of the past, not just the part about, you know, not having to testify against yourself, not that part, but the rest of it. Sixth Amendment, right to have an attorney. Well, that's been gutted. Seventh Amendment, that one they haven't touched because, you know, you still get a jury trial if you sue somebody over $20. I just go through it. Look at the Constitution. Look at all the amendments. Name one thing that's actually American that Donald Trump actually has improved. So magnet, I don't know what that means. Just don't get it wet or it'll stop working. That's a good one, and I'm not going to call them maggots from now on. Yeah, I don't like maggot. I like this Walter guy. Oh, Walter's been on the show, or he's a regular. I shouldn't say on the show because he's not technically on the show, but he's a regular. Being happy with people getting arrested for breaking the law. That's pretty typical. No, that's not what you're happy about. Being pro North Korea is already bad enough. What the heck is that? Any stupid words that come out of his mouth became the fact. Yeah, isn't that the case? Like, I mean, there will be I'm surprised that they're not arguing that there were actually airports in the revolution. We have very different ideas of what greatness is. Did you hear that Donald Trump is going to put a 100% tariff on all shredded cheese? He wants to make America great again. Great again. I've never used the term maggot or any other derogatory word. MAGA says it all. That's right. All you have to do is say, I say MAGA, and they're like, why do you have to insult me? I'm like, well, that's what you call yourselves. And also with your not using dehumanizing term, it's nice to see a political YouTuber with opinion and common sense. That's pretty hard to come across. Thank you. I've noticed that most of these political chat rooms are filled with non-US. How do you know what citizens what is that? There's so many weird things about that comment. First of all, how do you know where everybody's from? Number two, I mean, like, the bots are from Russia. And number three, so what? Like, don't other people in the world have rights to opinions too? I've noticed that MAGA is about 95% foreign accounts. See, because he wants to make America great again. You know, like great, like you can grate your cheese. Okay, every person here says they don't mind Republicans, just MAGA they dislike. But in 20 minutes, I have heard zero substance or debate, personal attacks only. Trans rights is a small issue. Well, there's the first 2 hours of the show. But what would you like to discuss? Like, would you like the main thing that I wanted to discuss today that I started off with is that Donald Trump has said that there is some kind of peace agreement with Iran. He hasn't gone into details. And so he's put this pause on bombing their energy or something like that. Iran denies that there's been any talks at all, either direct talks or indirect talks. And, you know, I was kind of looking at it and thinking, so then Donald Trump came back and he said, well, they can't tell us who they're talking to, because if they tell us who they're talking to, that could get them killed. But I'm like really curious how, if the person they're talking to is going to get killed, if they find out they're being that he's talking to America, how does he have the weight to talk to them? Like, where does he get the ability, the backing to make an agreement between Iran and the United States, if the very fact he's talking to them is going to get him killed by the powers that be? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. So this is my question. We have, and I do not deny that Iran's regime is terrible and that they have had all these terrorist attacks and all of that. Nobody's denying all that. But they're the ones that have actually been telling the truth. Like, that Iran says one thing and the president of the United States says another. And I'm more prone to believe Iran than the president of the United States. That's pretty shameful. Because they never shut up. How do you know what's in MAGA's minds? Because they never stop telling me. They're just like, just the poop keeps coming out of their mouths. What makes an American? What makes an American American? That is a philosophical question, I think. But I will say this: Americans, if nothing else, should appreciate diversity. And I don't mean like in a DEI way. At this rate, Trump is going to have to release the Epstein files to distract from his bleep show of a war. Unlike Obama, Trump has not imprisoned reporters who wrote negative stories. Well, Obama didn't do that either. Said what exactly? I forgot. Maybe the MAGA MABA message. And by the way, Donald Trump has actually indicted a reporter for writing a negative story. And he's sued industry. He's sued networks. He's threatened to take them off the air. So your little made up Obama jailed somebody for writing a negative story thing, that just does not apply here. Your little made up false equivalence. Good one, Harry. I missed a joke. At this rate, Trump is going to have to... Oh, there. That's the joke. Okay. That one has gotten many, many rave reviews. Iran is on the offensive lately. Yes. Well, depends on what you mean by the offensive. I wondered why their breath is always so gross. I'm trolling Trump. That is unwise. Trump's a loose cannon. Iran trolling Trump. Well, I mean, Iran isn't necessarily trolling Trump if they're just saying they haven't had any well, then they did say that Trump was going to regret it or whatever. I mean, there are so many people coming from every direction. There is no way to distract others from anything. It's the ubiquity of distractions. That actually sounds like a cool song. By that, I mean, there are just so many distractions that they're a distraction just in the sheer volume of distractions. It's like you say, keep your eye on the ball, right? But if I throw 100 fastballs at you at the same time, you're going to get hit by a few of them. There's only so many balls you can keep your eye on at the same time. Trump has arrested reporters. Quite a few, actually. I mean, especially when you start talking about the ones that are doing the protests and stuff, or covering protests. But ask Lemon about that. Bro, I swear, better not disturb my internet while I'm gaming. I will solo the whole world. Winning was replacing the government. That is more sympathetic to the U.S. and Israel. The regime in Iran is more anti-American in Israel now. Yes, the new guy is like so hardline that his dad didn't want him to be in this position. His dad was the old Ayatollah. I think hamburgers are pretty neat. I think hamburgers are neat too. I like myself a good hamburger. Not only has Trump committed crimes, he has also an ego smaller than my foot. But is his ego smaller than his own foot? Can you measure? Wait, he has an ego smaller than my foot. No, I think his ego is bigger than your foot. His ego is bigger than like the Milky Way. Trump's ego is pretty huge. Now, his list of accomplishments might not be smaller than your foot. Might be smaller than your foot. There is a time and a place to stand up, but when having two CSG pointing at you is very bad timing. What is CSG? Okay, it was not made up. If you actually like the debate, you should ask for names. No, because I don't want to go into some weird false equivalent nonsensical. I think I remember. No. Go ahead and post your name. Go ahead and post your name, and then we'll look it up, and then we'll see that it's a false equivalent. Go ahead, Don. But I guarantee you that he did not have a reporter arrested for saying something critical of him. I guarantee you that is not the accurate representation. Iran is their world, not ours. That's like coming into our country and claiming all Christians must go just because a white nationalist TPUSA freaks are called Christians. Jeffrey Epstein was convicted in 2008. It's 2026. Why is Trump? It's not true that Trump is the only one to release any files at all. That's just your entire argument is wrong. Not, and then there's reasons that all the files weren't released, but there were plenty of files released before Trump. Exactly. Trump doesn't need to ban Muslims from coming back in his first term just because of a few extremists. Trump is lying. First of all, he can't tell you who he's talking to. Second, Israel is doing their own thing, not part of any discussion. 3, he's reacting to markets and public opinion. And you can tell that just by the very fact that the stock market jumped up like 1,000 points right away. Now it's kind of come back down again, the last I checked. It was still up on the day, but it wasn't as so it ended up about 6. So it came down went up 1,000 and then came back down 400. A CSG has more firepower than. What is a CSG? I don't know what is CSG. You keep talking about CSGs. I don't know what that is. Did Iran have anything to do with the assassination attempts? It doesn't really matter. Again, any argument about post hoc justifications to go to war that does not include an imminent threat is just, why didn't he take it to Congress then? Like, if you feel like trying to assassinate the president is grounds to start a war with Iran, then go to Congress, make that case, and have them declare war. Oh, wait, I meant bigger and more fragile. Yeah, that's a fragile people type in caps. No, he's saying that he got Trump's ego wrong. He's saying that Trump's ego is big and fragile. An American president is Carrier Strike Group. Okay. So you're saying something about Iran is because we have the carrier strike group right there. Iran is stupid for talking smack to Trump or something. Yeah, Don Lemon is a jerk, yet still a journalist, and he was acting in that role. Yeah, I mean, it's just, he didn't do anything illegal. Unfortunately, every single day, this tiny bent cheese puff in charge seems to have a new hateful message and doing something really stupid. You just have to pick the worst ones because you know without fail there's going to be a next day. Okay. All right. I have to go take another break. Sorry. It's been a weird day. All right, I'm back again. Hopefully that'll be the last break I need. Does your household water have high deposit concentrations? Yeah, I've got a whole home water filter. And a water softener. I don't know what's going on. Some people say I drink too much. Just kidding. I don't actually drink at all. Someone said that Iran is trolling Trump. I was mentioning Trump is a loose cannon and Trump has Doocy. Okay, that's a reasonable statement. I don't. I think it's more about this. I think his 40. I think he just made something up because he was going to have to, back up, put up or shut up. So now he's just making stuff up. So if the sky gets a little brighter and ours is electronics stop working, you'll know for sure how unhinged he is. Flooding the zone is Steve Bannon's plan to break us through continual trauma. It's like there's so much craziness. Unfortunately, every single day. Okay. I didn't know who Don Lemon was before I searched his name just now. Yeah, he was a CNN guy, and then he got bounced from CNN. But yeah, I tend to be the one guy. Where did the one guy go that was gonna tell me, the guy that Donald Trump or that Barack Obama had locked up for saying mean things? Going, no, it wasn't inevitable. Actually, it wasn't. And if that's the case, take it to Congress. Why can't you have Congress declare war the way the Constitution says? There was no imminent threat when Obama attacked Libya. He didn't go through Congress. And I criticize him for that. I'm not the one being inconsistent. Obama should have gone and gotten approval from Congress. 100%. I absolutely agree. Okay, that was my bad, and apologies to the person. I see caps. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I totally hear you. It's easy to get like caught up in all the nonsense. What did Trump do exactly? Look up how many deaths of Americans and the cause of truths being dismembered over the last 50 years. Okay, what does that have to do with Iran being an imminent threat? There have been terrorist attacks sponsored by Iran. Yes. That has nothing to do with us declaring war on Iran out of nowhere. And again, if you want to say getting revenge for all those terrorist attacks is grounds to go to war, then go and tell that to Congress and have Congress declare war. Someone said Iran is trolling. Okay, so, all right. Okay, so now we're back to there. Trump is the terrorist. He is a terrorist. January 6th was a terrorist attack, and he was the ringleader. Why does YouTube keep blocking your chats? Are you on a watch list? I don't even know. Even have to do a moderation. It's funny that because you're on YouTube watching, like I don't even see the chats that you're referring to, which is hilarious. So Munchkin Man, General Munchkin Man. That's kind of a cool name, actually. Munchkin Man. But not just any Munchkin Man. General Munchkin Man. Like, were you a Colonel Munchkin Man before you became a General Munchkin Man? Or is it just like, in general, you're a Munchkin Man? Oh, I'm jealous. I have troll envy now. I don't have as many trolls as they do. It's because you guys are doing your job. You and Kitty are doing it. That's based on a meme I found once. You ever notice that Republicans, they think that like memeing is an ability? And they're always like, that's why Democrats can't meme. And it's like, that is such a stupid thing to say. Like, it is like, what does that even mean? Not gonna lie, I like how someone find my handle cool. Hey, I will always tell the handles that I think are cool, that I like they're cool. we're debating on memes now. Like it's not that we're debating on memes. It's just like I just always see that's why liberals can't meme, and it's like, what does that like? I don't even understand what that's supposed to mean. Like, first of all, liberals can meme, you know. Secondly, memeing is not exactly a skill. I mean, I guess it could be a skill. Maybe some people are really good at it and they, always generate these viral memes. But, like when you just like this, warning, if somebody has this flag in their bio, it means they're an idiot. And then there's like a Ukrainian flag. And so like that somehow is some gut punch of a meme that just really put me in my place. I have a Ukrainian flag in my Twitter bio. Therefore, everything I say is wrong. Oh boy, you got me with your insightful meme there. Are his lips moving? Of course he's lying and selfish and stupid, and I wish people would stop missing their target. I always say that he has a poop paradox because poop never stops coming out of his mouth. Poop never stops coming out of his butt. And he's never any less full of poop. So it's like, how can he have poop coming out of both ends just constantly and still be that full of poop? It's just like there's an infinite amount of poop that circulates through Donald Trump. So Brett asks Amy, Trump, I think because she's responding to the title of today's show, which is Donald Trump lying again? So there's a few comments that people have come in just weighing in on the answer to that question. Political ideologies can't be based on memes. It's on the person's humor, not towards you, Kelly. It's the people you mentioned. Yeah. It's like, and I've actually I did spaces on this on Twitter. I think that there is an interesting connection between humor and politics. In that I think both require intelligence to really get. And that's why when you're talking about people that are actually able to be funny and political at the same time, you have like people like Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert and George Carlin, that Al Black, their politics are funny because it's also intelligent. And like humor is a funny thing because it's like you're basically tricking people, right? You're getting their brain to go in one place and then suddenly you change places, right? So whether it's like just a joke or a pun or whatever, it's sleight of hand with the brain. It's sleight of hand with words. And that kind of cleverness doesn't play well to the kind of politics that Republicans get into. Their politics is always cruel and mean. So their humor ends up being like punching down, insulting people, their trans jokes, and they're like these, oh, my pronouns are bleep you, and stuff like that, like there's nothing clever to it. There's none of that like misdirection of the brain or something. It is ha ha ha, pointing at somebody and laughing. That's why people like Gutfeld aren't funny. They need a target for their humor. Just watching the news, TSA agent in Philadelphia says, "Why are they bringing ICE agents to the airports? They're not getting paid because ICE agents in the first place." That's a good point. Actually, that's something I wanted to mention or talk about today is like, why are ICE agents in the airports anyway? Like, I don't see what is that supposed to solve. There's apparently a very workable compromise that is on the table, which is there would be one spending bill that covers everything but the TSA or but ICE, like that the Democrats, the Republicans, everybody could vote for it and send that through, and it'd fund Coast Guard and TSA and everybody except for ICE. ICE would just be kept separate. Then, since ICE would be kept separate, it could just be a budgetary vote, which means that the filibuster wouldn't apply. And so then the Republicans could just vote for that by itself as a standalone thing, just funding ICE, and pass that, and not a single Democrat would have to vote for it. And there wouldn't be a filibuster, and Democrats couldn't do anything to block it. And so that's a compromise that's being offered. And then Trump has said, no, unless you give me everything I want, plus, ban transgender people for life, plus make it illegal to vote if you're black, then, whatever. And technically, he wants to ban transgender people from sports and force the SAVE Act through, which is, by the way, completely unconstitutional. So, yeah, what do you guys think about that? Should ICE be... This is, they're not even trained to do their own jobs. Now they're going to be trained to do somebody else's. Now they're going to go do somebody else's without training. And you had what bonehead, forget which bonehead. But one of the boneheads, one of the cabinet members, was saying something about, what training do they need to guard the exit door? It's like, why do you need to guard the exit door? Not stop people from leaving? Like, what are you going to protect the great outdoors? Like, why do you need to guard the exit door? I mean, I can see guard the entrance, or whatever. But anyway, he's just dumb. See how much poop comes out of dude's mouth? Dude can fill up a toilet with that. And just keep flushing, and it just keeps coming out. If he's talking, poop is coming out of it. If he's posting, poop is coming out of it. The ICE agents are just standing around in the airports. They're not moving people at all. Like, where's our tax money is being well spent. They are even looming over the employees there. Surprised. I wonder if they're going to start detaining the TSA agents as being undocumented, for not having their papers. Humor and politics are something that can be mixed, but it's like dark humor. You have to ease into it and actually get how to use it to be funny. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. And you actually have to be an intelligent person to really be able to do it well. Like Jon Stewart is obviously a very, very intelligent person. You don't get, like, he is a smart person. And he's also very funny, and he's also astute. The silliest part is they're still wearing the green camo. I mean, well, there's the jungle on the border in Texas. It's all cosplay. What happened about the pipe bomb outside the DNC when? What about it? I don't understand. They got the pipe bomber. Are you talking about the Iran thing? Perhaps ICE on the airport to tell people with oversized carry-ons they are domestic terrorists. I've got an idea. Let's put all the ICE agents on an airplane and send it to Liberia. Problem, there's been 2 government shutdowns in the past 6 months. What the bleep is going on with the government right now? Well, you know, in all honesty, this shutdown could end if they just said, like, I know there's more than one demand from the Democrats, including, you know, ICE agents should actually have to show their faces when they're arresting you. But I think if the Republicans just yielded on one thing, which is the Fourth Amendment and following the Fourth Amendment, and only like making sure they had a judicial warrant before they kicked your door open and arrested you in your own house. Like you should actually have a judicial warrant. What they've been using is this expanded administrative warrant. An administrative warrant is just a self-administered warrant. It defeats the purpose of having a warrant. It's not a warrant. It's not what the founding fathers meant when they said you need to get a warrant. Like, just the Fourth Amendment. That's all we're talking about, is following the actual Constitution and the Fourth Amendment. Why is that so hard? You never hear one person, never hear one Republican, I have not heard it, acknowledge that you should have to have a warrant to break into somebody's house and arrest them. I took a phone call, and when I came back, some of the messages are gone. But I'm not on top of the messages. Highlight it. Oh. Kitty might be. Is Kitty? Kitty's in the studio. She might have seen something. And they're not getting paid to do it at the same time. And yeah, they're getting paid to sit around and hover over the people who aren't getting paid. They're not wearing their masks in the airport. Now they are running away from being photographed by travelers. Big, scary ICE agents. George W. Bush actually had a good idea when making ICE, but I don't know how much ICE in the mid to late 2000s. All I know is that Trump made ICE an absolute bleep show. I think the whole Homeland Security Act or whatever it was a big overreaction to 9/11. And I said that at the time too. There was a lot of stuff in there that did not mean, but now my ice maker is broken. Maybe I should get George W. Bush to move in my house. Mortgage went up, people feeling it, complaining. Rochester, New York, suburbs shouldn't have voted for Trump. Everything goes up. Gas, $4.95. Y'all got played, MAGA. They got played like a fiddle. Diesel is crazy high price. What was the price of gas? I think today it was up to $3.95. Oh, 395.6. Diesel's up to 528. Whoa, diesel's closing in on an all-time on the record high. Record was 562 in 2022. ICE is already funded through. Yeah. Everything went up New York State. Sent ICE to Iran. Yeah, we can. How about we send ICE to Iran? That's a good idea. There's all the brown people. They can go and they can deport all the Iranians. The shutdown of DHS is for what? The shutdown of DHS is for to get ICE to. I think there. What are the demands? One of the demands that the Democrats have is that you actually have to get a judicial warrant before you can break into somebody's house and arrest them. The second thing is that ICE agents have to actually like wear their masks or not wear masks and identify themselves when they arrest people, like every other law enforcement agency. And I think the third thing is more body cams. I mean, there's nothing unreasonable about that. Getting a shotgun, I have no record. 10 or 12 gauge. Can't do that. Unconstitutional. Trump hates the Constitution. Yes, 10 gauge. I'm a black man getting real out here. Oh my goodness, are you going for double O buckshot? I'll get one fast, no criminal record. Just getting one to protect my family and me. We need one Democrats. Holy crap, you actually have good humor too. My ice maker is broken. Maybe I should get ring. Yeah, that's why it's called the Pun Show. That's why it's called the Pun Show. Kelly, good show, bro. They hate the truth on social media. Ban me. Facebook Zuckerberg is a wimp. They're so anyway. Trump supporters reported me Facebook. I got kicked off. Wow. Barron to Iran. I got reported on Facebook a couple of times for like weird stuff. I had one person report me on YouTube, and I don't even know what it was, but it was like a strike against me. Ironic, isn't it? They say the most vile, hateful stuff, but if you push back, they report you. And if you don't, like, if you just state facts, it's like, you know how you offend a MAGA? Say something true. That's what they do. They pound their fist on the counter and demand to speak to the manager. Karens. Brett, Facebook sucks anyway. I deleted my Facebook years ago. I keep my Facebook because I have, I've lived in like 8 different states and 5 different countries, and have friends all over the world and all over the country, and Facebook is my main way of keeping in touch with everybody. Bro, the crazy thing about Instagram is that it's known for saying some bleeped up bleep, but it's rarely about politics. That's known for being on Facebook and Twitter. Ice cream machine faulty. Oh my goodness. I've never been in a McDonald's where I don't think I've ever been in a McDonald's where the ice cream machine was broken, but apparently I'm the only one. Now it's possible I have been in there a lot and didn't know it because I don't really order the ice cream. I don't know much about that, but that's crazy. Yeah, gas prices in 2022 were up. Then they came down, and they went up because Russia invaded Ukraine. Now they're going up again because Trump invaded Iran. Guess which one of those things involved an American president making a choice? That's like Steven from Django Unchained. Okay, forgot which. Steven. Who is Steven? Oh, that's Steven. Yeah. That is I mean, I'm just saying, Clarence Thomas, but Django Unchained, that movie was it like there for some reason. I just the pillowcase scene You know, my wife stayed up all night, you know, cutting holes in these and stuff like that. Somebody asked me, what is a MAGA? That entire scene is MAGA. MAGA is the pillowcase scene in Django Unchained. When there was no war. There was a war in Ukraine, dude. Are you not aware of that? Social media MAGA safe space. MAGA is just like a cult Scientology. If he speaks a lie, that's just how Trump is. If he speaks, yeah, he does. He just, if he says the sky is blue, I'm running outside to see what the hell happened to the sky. He is incapable of speaking something true. MAGA got played. America laughingstock. Canada and said no 51st MAGA. Yeah, that was just such a stupid thing to say. Kelly's all right. Good host. Fight. All right. So, all right. Was there anything else I wanted to cover today? No, I think that's it. Okay. So I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around and talking. Getting to enjoy, enjoying getting to know more of you. So if you have not already done so, don't forget to click like and subscribe. So anyway, we're all out of comments, and so if Ivanka wasn't my daughter, I'd probably date her. Well, even that was a lie, because he wouldn't actually date her. He would just fornicate her. Like, he wouldn't actually take her on a date and pay for it. So anyway, that's it for today. I will talk to you tomorrow. I hope everybody has a pleasant evening.